Hey, Bill O'Reilly, welcome to the No Spin News for Wednesday, August 17th, 2022. Stand up for your country. You know, August is supposed to be a slow news month, but thanks to Donald Trump, it is not. Also, a very nice piece on Breitbart about me, your humble correspondent. We have posted it on BillO'Reilly.com. I don't do much press these days, don't need to do it, thank God. I do it when the books come out, but, you know, ordinarily not. But a guy named David Neig called me up, and he's a guy that did all this excellent reporting with Antifa, and a courageous guy. We've had him on the program. He said, look, I'd like to do a profile of you and your business enterprises. And I said, okay. I knew Andrew Breitbart before he died. I considered him an honest man. So we were very pleased with the piece. We hope you read it. Let me know what you think. Bill@BillO'Reilly.com. Bill@BillO'Reilly.com. The Talking Points memo goes back to the busy August. Trump derangement syndrome still in play. So Liz Cheney got waxed as we predicted here. Not a brilliant prediction, and I'll explain why it happened. Wyoming primary yesterday, she lost by 37 points. Really, I mean, that's hard to do. So the voters of Wyoming, and you could cross lines there. I mean, if you were Democrat, you could vote Republican. You don't have any restrictions. I mean, they said, look, Liz, you know, we don't like you anymore. And I'll explain the reason why. But first, here was Ms. Cheney's reaction. Go.
2 years ago, I won this primary with 73% of the vote. I could easily have done the same again. The path was clear. But it would have required that I go along with President Trump's lie about the 2020 election. It would have required that I enable his ongoing efforts to unravel our democratic system and attack the foundations of our republic.
No, that's not really true. I mean, she could have criticized Donald Trump. She could have said, look, I don't believe the election was fraudulent. I don't like what the former president is doing. Could have done that, and I think she still would have won the primary. But what put her over the top as far as Wyoming voters were concerned is that she allied herself with Nancy Pelosi. And you can't do that if you were a Republican, because Nancy Pelosi is a radical leftist who hates the Republican Party. And that's what Cheney did. And Pelosi used her to front the January 6th committee. I mean, you remember this famous picture with Cassidy Hutchinson, who, by the way, testimony that Trump grabbed the steering wheel of the presidential limo is preposterous. But, you know, Cassidy has now disappeared because nobody's going to follow up on that ridiculous situation. But there's Liz Cheney hugging her. I mean, come on, Liz. You know, you don't have to sell out in your estimation. But if you become a zealot on the other side, Republicans are going to go, no. And that's exactly what happened. So I knew it would happen. May 12th, 2021, almost a year and a half ago. Here's what I said.
All right. I don't want politicians punished by other politicians for their opinion. If the voters want to punish them, that's fine with me. I don't believe Liz Cheney will be reelected in Wyoming. I could be wrong on that. It's ways away, 2022. But the problem with the Congresswoman is she doesn't let it go. All right? It's on and on every single day.
And that was the problem. So Liz Cheney now says she may run for president. That's a pipe dream. Pipe dream, by the way, is a cliche. It comes from China, where people smoked opium in abundance before Mao Zedong murdered them all for doing that. And so the phrase pipe dream, like it's a fantasy, it's never going to happen. Liz Cheney could run if she wants, but nobody's going to vote for her on either side. So I don't want to waste your time and money. I do believe that CNN will offer her a job, and she may take it. That is the Talking Points memo. Now let's get on to the Trump raid latest. So tomorrow, the judge who signed a warrant for the raid on Mar-a-Lago, Bruce Reinhart, is holding a hearing because a number of news agencies and the Republican Party in general wants the affidavit to the warrant unsealed. Now, I don't know whether that will happen tomorrow or not, early afternoon hearing, but something's got to happen, right? Justice Department opposing it. You all know it. We went over it pretty micro detail. Wall Street Journal story today. Anonymous sources, people familiar with the matter. All right. Wall Street Journal is a lot better than left-wing papers, but still, it says Attorney General Merrick Garland deliberated for weeks over whether to approve the warrant to search Donald Trump's property. I don't know. I mean, so I assume that's true. You know, and Joe Biden knew about this. Of course he knew about it. But if it was such a danger to national security, why would the Attorney General deliberate for weeks? If it had to happen, we got to get in there, get these nuclear secrets. You know, doesn't make any sense at all. It's just the usual BS. Finally on this, Norah O'Donnell, anchor of the CBS Evening News, tweets out, remember that Donald Trump said that the FBI seized his passports, which would have been against the warrant, so the warrant did not allow that. So O'Donnell tweets out, quote, according to a DOJ official, again anonymous, the FBI is not in possession of former President Trump's passport. Trump has accused the FBI of stealing his 3 passports during the search of his Mar-a-Lago home. Well, it turns out to be wrong. And so the FBI says, yeah, we got him, but we're going to give him back. So Norah O'Donnell's wrong. So last night I asked my crack staff to watch the CBS Evening News and didn't mention it. No retraction, no, I'm sorry, my anonymous source lied to me. And by the way, if you use an anonymous source and you're a reporter and it turns out what the anonymous source says isn't true, you can put it right out there. This person lied to me. But they never do, they being the corporate media, because they want this stuff. Anyway, that's the update on Trump. We are on it tomorrow, and we will continue our honest reporting. Remember a guy named Paul Manafort? Yeah, you do, if you follow politics. He was President Trump's campaign chairman, appointed to that position in May 2016. He's a big guy in the Trump campaign. And then almost simultaneously for him taking over as a campaign chairman for Trump, the Fed starting to investigate him on a variety of financial matters. On July 26, 2017, FBI agents raided Paul Manafort's home without warning. They just showed up looking for documents. Now, Trump had warning. Mr. Manafort did not. And they went in. And he was subsequently charged with a number of felonies. He pled guilty to a couple of them, and the other charges were dropped after he did that. He was sentenced to 7 years in a federal penitentiary. He served 1 year, 2 months, and he has a new book. And the book is called Political Prisoner, Persecuted, Prosecuted, but Not Silenced. Paul Manafort joins us now from New York. Did I set you up properly, fairly?
You set me up properly and fairly.
Okay.
And I'm used to being set up.
Yeah, we want to be fair above all. So the lead question is, and I have not read your book, as I told you before we went on the air, I looked it over, but I haven't read the whole thing. If you pleaded guilty to federal charges, do you have a beef?
Yes, because the part of the story you referenced is the end of the legal process, not the beginning of the legal process. What I pled guilty was I had 2 trials, two indictments. One was in Virginia, and one was in D.C. The one in D.C. was the first one. It dealt with the FARA violations that they said were of a criminal nature. They then brought, when they couldn't use those charges to get me to do a plea agreement and talk about Donald Trump in a way that would implicate the president in the Russian collusion narrative, they brought superseding charges to me, and those were filed in Virginia because they were dealt with tax matters.
Okay, let me stop you there. So it was clear to you, did the FBI tell you, we want you to flip on Donald Trump, tell us that he colluded with Russians, and if you do that, we'll drop all the charges or you won't be bothered by us anymore. Was that clear to you?
Well, there was no commitment to drop all charges, no. But the process was focused on, leniency, the plea agreement didn't happen until after the first trial was over.
Okay, I don't want to get too in the weeds on this. So you were promised leniency if you gave up Trump on certain things involving Russian collusion. In hindsight, did you do anything wrong in your opinion, just in general?
In general, the answer is no, and all the charges that were brought against me, for the most part, were all issues that the government had dealt with in the past and either resolved or dismissed.
Okay, so you believe that you are a victim of political prosecution because you were linked to Trump, you wouldn't give Trump up, and so that they basically went ahead to try to punish you for your silence. But then again, you come back to, why did you plead guilty? Why didn't you just go to a jury?
Well, the first case I did. I went to a jury. There was a 4-week
in the
trial.
DC case, but not in the second.
No, in the Virginia case was first. And I mean, even though it was filed in superseding charges, it ended up being the first trial.
Okay. But why didn't you just play the whole string out with the jury?
Well, I did in the Virginia case, and I was convicted of 8 of the 18 charges. And then 2 weeks later, the Virginia case was going to be happening. And I mean, the DC case was going to be happening, and that case, the jury was going to be selected within the framework of the first trial. I voir dired the jury. We had 120 questionnaires. In those 120 questionnaires, we found one juror who said they weren't prejudiced against Trump.
So you didn't think you would win the case, you and your lawyers.
Well, I knew I wouldn't win it.
How much did it cost you out of your pocket, Mr. Manafort, to defend yourself against all of this stuff?
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. Was that a concern that you didn't want to continue this because you didn't
Well,
have
there
money?
were 3 concerns as to why I didn't want to continue. One of them was the cost of another trial. 2 was, in that second trial, they had forfeiture actions they were trying to bring against me because going back 20 years on a violation that occurred, they claimed, in 2013. I knew that didn't feel confident after the voir dire that I was had any chance of getting a fair trial. The judge rejected giving me a venue change. And in the assets they wanted to take were assets I'd given to my daughters and family, 10, 15 years before. So they were trying to not just destroy me, but my family.
When you say was this the Justice Department?
The Justice Department special counsel. So,
and who was the Attorney General at that time?
Well, he was not in the matter at all. This was Bob Mueller, special counsel's office, Andrew Weissman. They were in charge.
So Mueller and Weissman, the guys that investigated the Russian collusion, they were responsible for all of the charges against you and, to use your word in your book, persecute you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When the raid in Mar-a-Lago happened last week, was it similar, in your opinion, to what you went through?
Yes, it was. For example, I had been cooperating with the intelligence committees and all the information they were asking for during the Russian collusion investigation. 2 days after I met with the 2 committees, they did this no-knock 6 a.m. raid on my condominium, 15 FBI agents, guns drawn, in my apartment, knocking on my door of my bedroom, waking me up. There was no reason for that overreach.
Was the media there? I don't remember. Was the media tipped off? I know CNN was tipped off on one of these.
The difference between Stone and me was Roger lived in a home, so they were walking down the street. They would have had a hard time sitting there walking down the hall.
So the FBI shows up. They show you the warrant. You look at the warrant, and they come in and they ransack your house. Is that what happened?
Yes.
All right. Now, you do believe that you are a political prisoner because of your work on behalf of Donald Trump. That's what basically your book is about, right?
Well, and in the book, I specify very clearly the fair charge that was the foundation charge against me. I had resolved with the Department of Justice Fair Unit.
Okay, and everybody will see what you. But what I'm trying to get at here is there are people, millions of them, who feel that we have lost our fairness in this country, that we are no longer equal justice for all, that now the federal government is taking a side, the Democratic Party side, the liberal side, and persecuting the conservative side. Do you believe that?
I believe that there's a two-tiered system of justice, yes.
Do you believe that the Donald Trump situation from the very get-go, and you were involved with it from the beginning, as was I did the first interview with him after he declared his candidacy, do you believe that there was a conspiracy to destroy him, and if so, why?
I believe he was a threat to the establishment, the deep state, if some people call it, and I believe that that threat was something that they couldn't deal with. I believe that they never expected him to win, but when he did win, they didn't understand it at all, and they never recognized in his election did everything they could to destroy his presidency, including.
Okay. After what happened to you, and you have been through hell for 6 years, do you still believe in your country? Do you still want to live here? Do you still feel that this is a noble nation?
I've done campaigns all over the world. There's no doubt in my mind this is still the best country in the world. Our democracy is still the best democracy. The fact that it's under attack is not to lose faith in it, but it's to try and fix it.
And that's why you wrote the book. Again, it's Political Prisoner, Persecuted, Prosecuted, and Not Silenced. But not silence. Paul Manafort. We appreciate it, Mr. Manafort. If we'll talk again, I think you have a good perspective on the government and what it can do. Certainly, you felt that sting. We appreciate you coming on tonight.
Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Things are very tough in America, as we all know. Gas prices up 59%, food up 10%. And have you taken a look at your cable bill recently? Some of us are paying more than $150 a month. That's why I am excited about the streaming platform Vidgo, V-I-D-G-O. Vidgo gives you the freedom to be entertained at a price you can afford. Vidgo has all of my favorite live sports networks. They have a great choice of news programming, including The First, Newsmax, OAN, and Fox. Vidgo also has more than 100 channels of entertainment. All of that for just $59 a month for the base package, $79 for the premium package. You deserve the freedom to be entertained at a price you and your family can afford. Please sign up at vidgo.com/bill.
Crime. One of my themes here is that the corrupt media does not report accurately on why violent crime is happening. Overwhelmingly in this country, it is black drug gangs committing murders and terrorizing entire neighborhoods. But you will not get that reportage. So let's go to Philadelphia. All right? There's a park. African Americans mostly frequent the park. Okay? So there's a shootout. 5 people hurt, including a 16-year-old boy and a 17-year-old boy. Nobody killed, but one boy, 16 years old, is in critical condition. 100 shots were fired in the park. Here's how local news described it. Go.
Yeah, so this is just a mind-boggling number of gunshots fired outside a place kids are supposed to feel safe. This recreation center in West Philadelphia turned into a major crime scene. And now the police commissioner here in Philadelphia announces at least 3 people have been arrested so far in this shooting.
Okay, you'll notice 3 people. And the rest of the Philadelphia media falls into line. 3 people. They don't say it's another gang-related shooting or anything like that. Now, in Philadelphia, under the progressive district attorney Larry Krasner, all right, homicides increased 78% from 2017 to 21, and Philadelphia voters reelected him. But it's almost all black drug gangs, yet the media in Philadelphia will not report that. Let's go to Dallas. There's a Pee-wee football game, okay? Things get heated during the game. This is south of Dallas in a place called Lancaster, all right? All of a sudden, a man named Yaqub Talib, 39-year-old African-American, shoots the opposing coach, Michael Hickman, dead, okay, in front of kids, in front of people watching the Pee-wee football game. Now, Mr. Talib's brother is a former NFL player, Tariq Khalib. But again, local news doesn't report that this is an African-American situation. Now, the pundit Jason Whitlock wrote a column, and it's worth reading, and it says, how are we ever going to solve this problem on black violent crime if the media will not acknowledge it? And that's what this is all about. So there are poor minority people all over the country, defenseless, in the face of these black drug gangs, heavily armed. And the media, unlike George Floyd, everybody knew what happened to George Floyd, as they should have. And it was outrage. But now, thousands, literally thousands of poor blacks are being slaughtered in the streets, and the media will not report on it honestly. Now, we'll follow the Dallas situation for you because it's a big name here, the NFL guy. But this is horrible. And it's never going to be solved unless the nation comes to grips on why blacks are killing other blacks in such astronomical numbers. Period. All right. Border Patrol has caught 10 more terror suspects on the terror watch list, which all the federal agencies have. That brings the total, okay, of people apprehended at the southern border on the terror watch list to 66 people this year alone. Are you surprised? There are millions of people coming here. Millions, okay? And they're coming here because the Biden administration won't enforce the border. So if you don't think terrorists are getting in here and these people are going to kill some of us, you're crazy. Yet the Biden administration doesn't care. I'm on Hannity today. Wednesday is my usual hit. I said, just that alone disqualifies the Democratic Party from being supported. Just that issue. The open border. That's it. Yet we have people, millions of voters, they don't seem to care that terrorists are coming into this country. All right, Alaska. We told you about the Wyoming vote. So Lisa Murkowski, who is a Trump hater, voted to impeach him. She advances to the midterm election. Her opponent, Trump-supported Kelly Tshibaka, close, 3 points. They both ran against each other in the primaries. What they do in Alaska, it's very confusing up there. But Kelly Tshibaka and Lisa Murkowski face off again in November. I can't call a race. Along with the Democrat Patricia Chesbro. Alaska is a Republican state, so I'm going to vote for a Democrat. Sarah Palin's going to advance as well. It's so arcane there. I can't call either of these races. I suspect Sarah Palin will win the single congressional seat in November, but I can't make a prediction. This caught my eye. This is really strange. Marco Rubio, a pretty big name in the Senate. And I thought he was pretty popular in Florida. Florida's trending red, as we all know. But a new poll by the University of North Florida, taken August 8th, says that Rubio's running behind the Democratic challenger Val Demings by 4 points. So North Florida University polled 1,534 people. And I went, to my staff, check this out. So the Real Clear Politics average of that race, Rubio versus Demings, has Rubio 49, Demings 43, 6-point lead. I think that is probably right. And I think this North Florida poll is an outlier. But my duty to report to you what's happening. We called Rubio's office, and they seemed to be too worried about it. And, spokesman said, quote, "This is Florida. We've always said it will be a tight race." Why should it be a tight race? I don't know.
Does inflation and the looming prospect of recession have you worried about your savings? Endowments, pension funds, and the ultra-wealthy have been quietly investing in farmland for decades, and it's paying off for them. Farmland returns have averaged 11% per year for the last 30 years, even despite the dot-com crash, Great Recession, and COVID-19. When inflation goes up, so too does farmland value. Until recently, farmland investments have mostly been accessible only to institutions and elites. AcreTrader breaks this barrier. AcreTrader makes it easy to invest in thoroughly reviewed farm offerings, quickly and securely. Their team of agriculture experts does all the work while you collect passive income from your farmland investment. So put your money in a time-tested asset by visiting acretrader.com, or you can call 888-958-1470 and tell them O'Reilly sent you. That's acretrader.com.
Okay, here is the final thought of the day. So a little more than 2 weeks left in the summer before Labor Day, and everybody gets back to school and work. Last night took out my giant calendar of the year, and I have a busy, busy autumn because of the midterm elections. That's going to be the huge story. We are all over it. But I got to go to Boston, and I'm going to Canada. And I'll tell you why as it comes closer, but I'm going up to Canada, and I got to plan. Because if you don't plan, you get hosed. Told you yesterday I'm not driving to Boston. I'm not flying to Boston because airlines are chaos. I'm driving. I can't drive to Canada, but I'm going to do something there to avoid going to the airport. Now, if you are traveling on the holiday band, you got to book now. Thanksgiving, Christmas, got to do it now. Because if you don't, you're going to pay so much money for your airline ticket, it's going to make your wallet collapse. And get the first flight out or you're going to get hammered. So wherever you're going, go early. But you got to book it now. And if you don't, bad things are going to happen. So I was thinking about that. In the moment is where a lot of Americans live, particularly the urchins. Planning ahead, no, we don't do that. We don't plan ahead. We have to be spontaneous. You can't be in this country now. You can't. You got to plan out. Because if you don't, you're going to pay so much more, and you may not even get what you want. Because the airlines are under so much pressure, they don't have enough people. They're going to be canceling flights. There's flight delays all over the place. You all know. Federal government's doing nothing. So you got to get on the stick now. And your life will be so much calmer and you'll get much, much more done if you plan ahead. And that means every area. Every area. That doesn't mean you got to be rigid. All right? You can be spontaneous. Something good comes up, like, okay. All right? Grab it. That's part of life. But your tension level will come down like this. And the fall is going to go by, it's going to be like this. It's crazy. Now, we have a brand new series of shows. I can't tell you about it now. I am going to tell you about it after Labor Day. But it's different than the No Spin News. We just signed a deal with an operation called Vidgo. You may have heard me mention them. They're our partners in entertainment. And you're going to like this, okay? So I'm going to be like crazy busy. And I don't know why I'm doing it. It's fun somewhat, but if anything goes wrong, it's... and we're writing the final Killing Book, which I'm going to announce after Labor Day, too, what the title is. So we got one more, and I'm in the process of writing that. That'll be out in the fall of 23. I wish it was 03. That would take 20 years off my life. But I'm hanging in pretty tough because I'm not doing the sugar thing, and I'm not doing the fast food thing, and I still eat the pizza. Not tonight, though. Not tonight. I'm limiting the pizza 1 day a week. All right? And it's really helped. My energy level is up. All right? Bags under my eyes down. Weight is where I want it to be. So I get free clothes, see? I grow out of the free clothes, then I have to pay for other clothes. No. It's worth my while to stay at a 36-inch waist, because if I go to 38, then I have to get everything altered, and that goes, the tailor, I have a really good tailor, but he's not cheap, and he loves when I come in, But anyway, these jackets and everything, we want to keep them in good shape. There's always stuff going on, but let me get back to you because you're more important than me. Plan. Autumn's going to streak by. Enjoy the next 2.5 weeks, too. I am. I'm going to have some fun and a little downtime, relax. But I want you to as well. Final thing, we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Breitbart, kind enough to do a AcreTrader article on me. A big picture article about our business and where we are and how the far left tried to destroy us and failed. I think you will all learn a lot from reading the article. It is posted on BillO'Reilly.com, or you can go to Breitbart.com and read it. Actually, Hannity brought it up to me before I even said anything to him on the radio, and we posted the Hannity-O'Reilly discussion, as we do every Wednesday, on our website, BillO'Reilly.com. Thank you very, very much for watching and listening tonight, and we will see you tomorrow. Inflation at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. We all know that. Market experts like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, not only predict a recession, but are using scary terms like economic hurricane and unprecedented. So, you need to call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Please call them today, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They have thousands of satisfied customers. They're the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Please call 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532.